How awesome was Tyler tonight, man? Just blows me away. Unbelievable how blessed we are to have this group, man. But I got some good news and I got some bad news. And the good news is Carter's getting the night off and getting a little break. He's in, I believe, Waco at the Assembly's conference. Or actually, they're on their way back, I think. Maybe back. But bad news is you're stuck listening to me tonight. And with that, with that bad news, I did not do a very good job of preparing for today because today's been a disaster from get-go, and it's actually been pretty well a disaster since this all started about Friday when Carter called me or texted me and wanted me to do the message. And I said yes because I thought this week was going to be normal, but lo and behold, y'all got time for this story? Sorry, I didn't ask. Lo and behold, everything blows up at work, and I've got to be in Houston on Monday, and then that changed to Tuesday, and we've reserved and unreserved tickets about 3 times. So I'm still waiting on that. So I really didn't prepare because I really didn't think I was going to be here. And Carter said, don't worry about it. I'll figure something out. So I didn't worry about it. And then yesterday about lunch, he said, you got this, right? And I said, I guess I better start worrying about it. And I didn't get much done yesterday. And I thought, today will be the day I'm going to get to work early, and I'm going to get my stuff done, and then I'm going to get it knocked out, get it typed up. I had a direction, but I needed to get it typed out. And as you know, everything in the world went wrong, could go wrong. From trucks getting run over by crackheads and getting stuff rejected and canceled. And anyways, so it's been a struggle today. So I apologize that I'm going to have to read a lot. I didn't get to spend the time that I like to remember. But what I've got tonight is really just continuing on in Galatians. You know, Carter last Wednesday, I believe he was in Galatians 3 and into 4, and and basically just in a quick review, which I'm not going to try to fully review because I can't do it justice because Carter does such a good job on it. But, basically in Galatians 3 it talks about, did you receive the Spirit through the law or just from what you've heard and what you've seen? Which we all know the answer to that is, you don't receive the Spirit through the law. But like I said, I went on in Galatians and started reading and trying to see what I could come up with. And, I don't ever come up with a sermon like Carter. I can't do that. I don't have that talent. How he does this stuff, I really don't know day in and day out. But what I try to look for is something in there that's speaking to me that has to do with my life the way it is right now. So as I read on and you get to Galatians chapter 5, verse 13, Shane will put it up here. It says, you, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge in the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. And what stuck out to me in that is the word serve, because it seems like this year that's what has been the title or whatever you want to call it for our lives right now, is to serve. We've been able to do it in so many different ways and been blessed by it, and it's just amazing what's happened in this short little time since the year started, which I can't believe it's already the 3rd month. Feels like we just got started, but like again, we've done so much in that time. So I wanted to dive into serve and just kind of study it and see what it is. So I'm going to go through a few things, and like I said, this is not a sermon. This is really just a couple things I'm going to do. We're going to talk about what serve is. I'm going to talk about what service or being a servant means to me shortly, and then I'm going to brag on some people. And I'm going to leave people out, and I'm sorry. I can't get to everybody. I can't even remember everybody. But there's some people, that are loyal and faithful servants that recently and through the years have just really blown me away. And I just wanted to put them in this sermon, or this, again, it's not a sermon, in this speech. So I'll begin. I went to Webster's Dictionary to look for the definition of serve, serving, service, and servant. And I'll read those to you, and I know it's boring, but it's important just to see what really these words mean. Begin with serve. Serve is a verb. To be in the service of, work for. To be useful or of service to help. Serving is also a verb. It says to go through a term of service or imprisonment. To render active service to a sovereign or commander. To render obedience or homage to God. To perform the duties of a position or office, to answer the requirements of, suffice, to contribute to promote. Service, a noun, can also be a verb. The noun, an act of helpful activity. Help, aid. Verb, to supply with aid, information, or incidental services. Servant, last but not least, a person in the service of another. I looked through and found some neat quotes, and here's just a few that I thought were good and really fit with servant. And first one is by George Washington Carver. It is not the style of clothes one wears, neither the kind of automobile one drives, nor the amount of money one has in the bank that counts. These mean nothing. It is simply service that measures success. John Hagg says, the measure of a man's greatness is not the number of servants he has, but the number of people he serves. So with me, I begin to think, and like I said, I wanted to just think what it meant to me, so I'll read these and go through it. It says, we all know that God calls us to serve one another with love and to do it faithfully with all of our heart, which is sometimes very hard to do it with all of your heart, because a lot of times serving is not pretty, it's messy, and it's hard to do it with a smile on your face and love in your heart the whole way through. It says that, and written in 1 Samuel 12:24. Again, serve one another with love and do it faithfully with all your heart. So my first question is, why does God call us to serve? I believe the answer is, I believe it humbles us so that we can be shaped into what God originally intended us to be. If you go back to the definitions on that, it says, on serving, it says to render obedience or homage to God. And I think it's funny that even Webster's uses God and this in this sentence in its definition. Next, it said, I believe it prepares us for hard times when we will need to be served. Because if we can serve you, you'll serve me in return, and we'll know how to accept that and how to appreciate that and know what it takes to serve others. Excuse me. If you go back again to the definition again for serving, it says to go through. And we're all going to go through hard times, and we're all going to need to be served. So we must serve those that need to be served so that in turn we can be served, just as I said before. Unfortunately, we live in a fallen world that believes, or at least lead us to believe, that we are to be served, that we're here to be served. On that note, I believe there are more servants than there are receivers, contrary to what the world, what the media, what the enemy wants to tell us. It looks like everybody's looking for a handout, but I believe when push comes to shove, there's plenty more of us that are willing to serve than to be served. You know, as I begin to dig in and think about serve, and I think about how our lives have changed so much in the last few years, and it has all to do with this church. God has presented us the opportunities and allowed us to serve in so many ways. It wrecks me to think about how my family, my church, my friends have made a difference in this dark world. But just being the hands and feet of Jesus and serving in these little ways. Sometimes we look at how little we accomplish while it takes so much effort, so many hours, and so much money and time. We can become discouraged at it because a lot of times we see such little results. But I have to remind myself, and I remind you now, that it doesn't matter how much time or effort that we put in if it reaches just one. If one person sees Jesus' face for the first time, that it's all worth it. I always have to remind myself that one person is going to go, hopefully, and take that message and take that service and go serve somebody else. And that person will go to that person, to that person. And so on and so forth, and hopefully goes on forever. So I'll go to my next part, and it's the servants in my life today, or the service that I see going on around me. And I want to talk about some people, and again, I apologize. I'm going to forget people. I'm going to, there's people that need to be honored and need to be talked about, but I just, you can't get them all in. And again, I was short on time, and I'm short on time today because y'all will be throwing stuff at me if I keep going. But first, I want to talk about the one that comes first in my life, and that's my wife. She's went above and beyond lately. It's almost as if I'm going to cry here, but here we are, as usual, me and Tom. So anyways, I want to brag on her a little bit. I don't do it very often because I don't want her to get spoiled and think that she's above and beyond. But I want to tell you just a few things she's done in this short year. And I know she's probably going to be mad at me for bragging on her, but hey, that's what husbands are for, is to be in trouble, isn't it? So just in this short year, she's organized, with the help of many of you women here, the Sunday school series, or whatever you want to call it, on the book of Job. And I think they had one of the larger turnouts they've ever had for meetings like that. She then has moved on from there, and now they're going to start the Easter experience, which on top of that, she's moved into the men and kicked us in the rear and got us going on that, which we need, by the way. She, next, along with all that, she organized and led her second annual Women's Revival Breaking Chains, which she could not have done alone, and I've been blown away by how so many people poured into that. It's hard to fathom the numbers and the women and the men, mostly women, that just fell in there and just did service like I've never seen before. With that event, I believe they had over 400 women, including the team. They came to this little event that was a dream of hers 2 years ago. They had speakers from Ohio, one speaker from Haiti, and it's just unbelievable that 400 people came and hopefully saw Jesus for the first time. She, during this, she's pretty well outside of her comfort zone. Not to beat up on her, but planning and time management and pre-planning is not her strong suit. We argue about this pretty regularly because I have a plan for every single thing way before we even start it. Bree's not that way. She believes it's all going to work out and has faith in it, which is probably the better way to be, because she doesn't stress and she doesn't worry. She did on this deal a little bit, I'll promise you that. But she did such an amazing job there and had an amazing team. Many of you, I won't even begin to name because there was so many of you that fell in on that deal. And it was an awesome experience. I was blessed to be a part of it and what little bit I got to do. And next, with all this going on, if that was not enough, she went on a 1.5-week medical mission trip with Live Beyond, which you heard about Sunday, to Haiti with her friend Sheila, Shauna, and her mother Liz, which on this mission trip they provided treatment for hundreds of patients, all of them with extreme malnutrition, worms, scabies, an 80% HIV rate, and other problems. I can attest, I can see a difference since she's come back. Things like that open your eyes when you get to serve those that have nothing. She, all these things happening together, she still carried a full-time job as a nurse practitioner, which you all know, which I don't know if you know this or not, but it's pretty much 24 hours a day to service to patients with nonstop calls and texts, needing help, needing advice, needing medicine, which I've learned that is why most doctors do not have listed numbers, but it doesn't bother her. She just serves with little to no complaint. She gets to serve those people in the time of need when they're sick, lost, scared, all these things. And it's all just part of her every day. If all that wasn't enough, she coached 2 basketball teams, 1 softball team. And you ask, what does that have to do with serving? And I say it's one of the most important. In that time, she got to reach those kids who maybe never heard of Jesus by loving them, for praying for them, or showing them prayer for the first time in their life. And last but not least, she continued through all of this, raising 2 kids and 1 overgrown kid who stands crying before you. You know, a mother's service never ends, as most of you mothers know. It goes underappreciated and forgotten most days. So with all that, I think James chapter 2, verse 14 through 17. Faith and deeds. What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, go in peace, keep warm and well fed, but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself is not accompanied by action, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. Second, I'll talk about Carter, who to me is second to none in his continuous service to people. I don't know if you people have ever took a step back and thought about what Carter does for a minute. Is he perfect? Far from it. I get frustrated with him at times. But I've never, ever questioned his service and his heart. So while I was thinking about it, I took a minute and did a little math, and I'll share it with you. You know, I think about all the time, the energy, the stress, the worry. I think about just the stress and worry with me today. I'm trying to do a job and trying to do this, trying to get that. I was ready to like fake an injury or call in sick or whatever I could do to get out of this, but I think about him doing it all the time. So I got to doing the math. Sermons, there's 52 weeks in a year. He does 2 per week. That's 104 sermons per year. Do this 104 times. Well, you say, well, he doesn't do it all the time, so you're right. We do 1 fellowship meal a month, so that's 12. That brings it down to 92 a year. Let's say maybe he takes 6 days of those times off. Maybe, if we're lucky, if we can talk him out of it. That's 86 sermons a year. That's a lot of time trying to come up with this, trying to receive from the Lord, to bring through him, to bring to us and feed us and serve us. On top of all that, he does countless hospital visits, countless one-on-one meetings. He probably does 2 to 4. He might even do 6 or 8 walks to Emmaus a year. Tell me that's not serving. He does a road to the horse for 1 week, which he fights it every year, but he does it because why? He gets to serve. He gets to go see and talk to people and share the Lord to people that maybe have never heard it before. He also does, as you know, countless sermons and devotionals at rodeos, pep rallies, conferences, etc., 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 and the list goes on and on and on, and you can all sit here and name something else that he does. So 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 19, for though I am free from all, I have made myself a servant to all, that I might win more of them. And to me, that fits in pretty well, because all he does is just to try to win one more, try to get one more person to see God, which is me as a base of service. Third, I just want to talk about the servants of this church. And they're like, again, there's so many that I can't name them all, and if I forget your name, please don't be offended. It's not that you're not noticed or not loved or whatever, but I just got a few that I want to name, and I felt led to name. Number 1 is Tyler and the worship team. Second to none in my book. You think about all the work and practice and slaving away that they do right here. All of this while trying to balance work, family, and a personal life. Not only do they do it here, they do it to walk Emmaus events, walks, everything else you can come up with. You know, my hat's off to him and Skeet and Matt and the other people that fill in. I'm blown away by how prepared they are, the extents they go through to learn new songs, to pour their heart into it, no matter if there's no reaction to little reaction. Take a little time and just realize how blessed we are by them and how good they are. By the way, some of them, Skeet, Tyler, what do y'all got? 6, 7 restaurants to take care of. Drive from Abilene and Snyder and drive all over the country. You got Matt driving every day from Rotan, all just to be here to serve us. When most of the time it goes underappreciated or unnoticed, or maybe not noticed, but just not recognized like they should be. I think about our kids' classes. You know, we kind of forget them. We kind of send them down there, and it's their deal, and they're taking care of it. We forget to say, hey, what can we do for you? What do you need? So I think about Krista and Micaiah and Brandy and all their helpers. I think about how they're there just serving. They're planting the first seeds of Jesus in the hearts of these kids that we all know can set and sprout later in life and do great things. To me, they're probably the most important ministry. It probably gets the least from us. I think about other workers. I think about Tom, who does countless acts every day that we don't even know about. He just comes up here and works. Sundays, he's here at 7 a.m., turn the heat on, fill the baptistry, get this working, just does it. He just serves. He's just here to serve you. I think about Kirk. Kirk's always there to encourage. Kirk's always there to help anybody in any problem they have. His gift, which he had to go through a long road to get there, is to help people with addiction. He's always there to help strangers for that, do whatever he can. I think about the ladies of this church, Doris Monroe, Doris Harvey, Karen Bolt, the Carbones, you know, the things they do with meals and just work and cleaning and just everything, just serving. Just because that's what God has laid on their heart. I think about Shane back there in the booth. I think about Nathan in the booth. You know, again, we could go on and on and on, and I could go for every person here. Look at Mr. Powell there. We don't even know he does it, but he runs the offering every single week. If he's not going to be here, he makes sure somebody does it. He just handles it. No recognition, no nothing. Again, the list could go on. I could go from one person to the next, but we ain't got time. Y'all are tired of listening to me and tired of listening to me cry anyways. So first Peter chapter 4, verse 10. As each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. So that's all I'm going to brag on there. So next I thought about, well, what are some ways that we can serve? And there's a million different ways. There's no limit to the ways we can serve. But I just have a few here that I'll read just to go through to give us some ideas, which all of you know. But ways to serve. Number one, and the most important one in my book, is serve God through your family. To serve God starts with serving in your families. Daily we work, clean, love, support, listen to, teach, and endlessly give ourselves to the members of our family. Again, I can't help the world outside if I haven't got my house in order. And I have to serve my family in order to do that. That's why it's the most important. Number two is to give tithes and offering. One of the ways we can serve God is by helping his children, our brothers and sisters, through paying a tithing. Money from these tithing is used to build God's kingdom upon this earth. And I know that some can do a lot, some can do a little, but we can all do some. Because I guarantee you, if it's here, if it's lived beyond, if it's wherever, you're making a difference. It may be a slight one, but we are making a difference. And unfortunately, it takes money to make the wheels turn on every one of these programs. Number three is volunteer in your community. There are countless ways to serve God by serving in your community. From things as simple as donating blood, coaching, working in the library, whatever you can find. Your local community has a great need for your time and efforts. You see, everybody wants to be served in the community. They want all these programs and things, but nobody's willing to do the serving. And that's what you have to do. Volunteer for your community. Donate clothing and other goods. Generously giving of those items to help others is an easy way to serve God and declutter your home at the same time. As we all know, we have no need for need and been blessed with that. And it's a large undertaking, and it's hard, and it takes these ladies and the men that help a lot of time and a lot of effort to get those things. But I think they can all stand up here and tell you the reward that comes out of that service. So I encourage you to get with them, see what they need, what you can provide, and how we can help. The next one, number 5, is very, very easy, although we make it hard. I do, especially, is just be a friend. One of the simplest and easiest ways to serve God to others is by befriending one another. How hard is it for me to become your friend, to ask you how your day is, to ask what's going on in your life? But we don't take that time. We don't offer that service. We just go on. So to me, that's probably the easiest thing we can do. Number 6 is serve God by serving children. Again, I'll reiterate, like I said before, it's probably the most important ministry that we probably neglect the most, if you really, really want to be honest with yourself. So many children and teenagers need our love, and we can give it. There are many programs to become involved with helping children, and you can easily become a coach, a den mother, a Kingdom's Kids helper, nursery, etc., etc., etc. The list goes on. I know it's a pain. Trust me, I'm not a kid person at all. But it's what God put us here to serve. And really and truthfully, once you get past it and you just put a smile on your face and you get into it, it's really probably the most rewarding out of anything else you can do when it really comes down to it. Because there may be 27 knuckleheads in the class, but there's always that one that touches your heart a little bit in all those acts. Number 7, simple acts of service. And, I tried to come up with some of these on the list, and there's a million of them that you can do, and they're very simple. Help chores with the elderly, help those in mourning, cook a meal for someone that is in need. These are very simple things that can really, really show God to somebody for the first time, or to remind them of that, or something along those lines. The last one that I put on here, which again, there's so many more, you could go on forever, but you are tired of hearing me, is one that's been close to us here lately that I really never been a part of, and that's serve God through missionary work. As a member of the church, we believe that sharing the truth about Jesus Christ and his gospel is vital. It's a vital service to everyone at home and abroad. Now, everyone's sitting there thinking, I can't go to Haiti. I don't have any skills. I don't need to do that. And that's not necessarily what mission is all about. It is one form of it, but your mission can be anywhere, anytime. My mission field, my work, kids' baseball team. You can make your mission field anywhere. It's right here in this town. Trust me, there's plenty of missions right here in this town. Again, I was thinking earlier, and it's funny, and I'll bring it up, but I thought about even Walmart can be a mission field, and it might be the toughest one out of all of them when you get in there, but who knows who you can help just at Walmart, and that tells you how simple it is. So those are just a few things that on ways to serve. And with that, I'll do Matthew 23:11. The greatest among you shall be your servant. So we talked about the greatest, and we all know that the greatest servant is, or we should know who the greatest servant is. Mark chapter 10, verse 45. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and give his life as a ransom for many. Again, everyone knows or should know the greatest servant, and that servant is Jesus Christ. Jesus showed us how to do this. plain and simple. He came to earth to help us. Everywhere he went, he helped people. He taught people the gospel. He visited and blessed people who were sick. He helped people who had disabilities. He was a friend to the lonely. By serving others, Jesus did what Heavenly Father wanted him to do. We learned that when we serve someone else, we are really serving God. So in closing, Tyler, y'all can come back, short and sweet. But in closing on service and serving God, I have a couple questions, and these are for myself and these are for you, and you can ask yourself and really reflect on it as they play for us. Question number 1 is, are you serving or are you being served? Question number 2, are you serving out of love or for the recognition of serving? Number 3 is, how can you serve or how can you serve more? So those are 3 simple questions. They're deep questions. Sometimes you got to be real and I got to be honest and say, you know what, I could do a whole lot more. Or, hey, you know what, I'm not doing anything whatsoever. I'm just showing up and I'm just getting fed and I'm being served and I'm going home and taking it with me and I'm not doing anything. And sometimes you got to be real, and that's got, you don't even realize you're doing it, because I do it sometimes. I show up, I expect Carter to feed me, to serve me something, and I go to the house. And I don't share that, and I don't go out and serve. So ask yourself, what are you doing? Number 1, are you serving or are you being served? Number 2, are you serving out of love or are you doing it for the recognition? Let's be honest. Let's be real. Sometimes it's a show. I hate to say it, but we've all done it. We're having this Easter egg hunt. Is it really to serve those kids, or is it just to put on a show so maybe we'll look like the best church in town? Again, how can you serve? I gave you a few options. There's a million. Or how can I serve more? Am I serving in church today? Can I take it up a notch? Can I go to Haiti? Maybe not. Maybe I could serve just a little bit more. Maybe I could go outside these walls and share a little bit of love. So I'll leave you with those questions, and you can ask them. They'll play for you. I want to close this in prayer. If you need me to pray, you need Kurt to pray, you need Tom to pray. They got you. Lord, we're just so thankful for this day, and I'm thankful for this opportunity, Lord. I thank you for getting me through it. Lord, just sharing what is on my heart, what's going on in my life. I thank you for this church and all that's done for me and my family. I'm thankful for what you've done in my family, for my family, and will do in my family. I'm thankful for this worship team. I'm thankful for Carter. I'm thankful for everyone here tonight, all those that are at home that couldn't be here. I ask you to be with those people that are sick, those that are lost. I ask you to lead, guide, and direct us in everything we do. Let us just serve in every opportunity in what little bit we can. No matter how insignificant, how small, it is serving. And it is showing you through those services, Lord. Let us be the hands and feet. Let us be the light of a dark world. Lord, again, I thank you so much for this time. I thank you for this church. Lead, guide, and direct us again, Lord. Thank you for your Son that died on the cross. In his name we pray.